Well, good afternoon, Lakeview. Pastor John here with some breaking news of sorts as we are 6 months into the COVID crisis now, and it's been 6 months since we've had worship together. I'm excited to be able to announce to you that we have some changes that are beginning to happen. This last week, we did receive word from our presiding bishop here in Arizona and Southern Nevada, Bishop Bob Hoshibata, that it's now okay for us to reopen our phase one. As many of you know, we have a team that we put together of a number of members and some staff members at Lakeview that focused on what we need to do to reopen, to be safe and prepared for the team, the church to come back together again. We know that many other churches have already opened. We operate a little differently because we serve under a presiding bishop, and we need to be responsible to what the bishop dictates in terms of safety for our churches. So, particularly considering that Lakeview serves a senior church, many of you are right in the middle of being the most vulnerable to the coronavirus. So we want to be careful and cautious as we reopen. So the team came back with a 3-phase plan that we submitted to the conference, and that was approved. Our team just met just a little while ago, and that's why I delayed the presentation of this live broadcast to you, so that we'd have time to go back over the phase one plan. So I want to share with you some of the nuts and bolts of this phase one plan. There will be an electronic email going out to all of you who get our newsletter online Saturday morning, about 8 a.m. It'll go out with all of these bullet points on it. And then early next week, we'll send a snail mail letter out that will have the same information in it. So we're calling this a soft opening. It'll begin, even though we had approval before this week, it'll begin on Tuesday, September 22nd. Our office hours will be Tuesday through Thursday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. for the public. We wanted to limit initially, both for staff concerns as well as let's see what our needs are as we begin to reopen. In the soft opening and office access, be only through the south main office door. So we're asking everyone to please make an appointment, to call the office and make an appointment ahead of time if you need to come in, so that A, we can make sure there's space available. We have limited space that we're opening for meetings. And then secondly, or B, so that we can kind of coordinate as we do this, so we don't end up with a bunch of folks stacked up in the office area. As you might expect, you know the drill. Masks are going to be required, and we're going to ask you to clean up after yourself. So if you come in and you're spread out on the counter, we're going to ask you to just wipe that counter down when you're done. If you use the restroom, we'll be open, but we're going to ask you there again to wipe up the counter when you're done, to be responsible adults as we gather back together. The fellowship hall will be open for meetings. So again, you need to coordinate that through Irene or Patty so that we can coordinate those things. We already have plans for a couple of groups to meet in there. These will be small groups, 10 or less. So don't plan on bringing in 30 people for a meeting. We can't do that yet. These are small groups so we can keep our distance and be safe as we gather together. It is essential right now for this time that our members and guests not go back into the staff areas during these open office hours. We're doing this, one, to keep those office areas clean. Staff has been working back there for some time, and to protect our staff members. So that's a high priority for us, so please respect that. No outside groups will be meeting in the church yet. So this means SkySac and our fellow church, Maranatha, won't be able to meet yet. That's coming. I'll get to that in just a moment. Also, we're not serving any food or drink. You can bring your own bottle of water or cup of coffee or whatever you want, but we're asking not to have any food or shared food during this time. Just another way we can be safe and protect each other. So as I mentioned before, there'll be an email letter going out Saturday morning, followed by a snail mail letter early next week. So there's the highlights that we have for you. As you know, I mentioned before that a lot of other churches are already meeting in person. For the most part, as I've talked to people who have attended them or those pastors, they've been very small groups that are attending, particularly in the Sun City area, because people are still a little bit cautious, and we get that. We understand, and we think that's appropriate. If this goes well during the next 2 weeks, and there's no dramatic increase in cases either in Sun City or really throughout Arizona, then we hope to move into phase 2. And just briefly, that phase 2 is allowing us to reopen for worship, given some limitations on spacing in the congregation or in the sanctuary. We do anticipate at this point having just one worship service, probably at 9 o'clock, and that's something you can kind of anticipate for a little while until we go a little bit there and again have some time to see that there's no increase or spike in cases, and then we may be able to move back into phase 3, which is really fairly normal operations, given that we will probably be still taking some social distance and cleanliness precautions. I suppose one of the good news items about this is that as we are keeping cleaner and keeping a little more distance, that with a little bit of hope, we won't see an increase in the influenza cases this year as well. So right now, we would ask you to be in prayer for the church as we begin this process for God to protect us and protect you, and that we're able to continue moving from phase to phase. So that's it in a nutshell. I would encourage you at this point, if you happen to have any questions or comments, you're welcome to make them online and while we're still online, and I'll try to answer any questions that anybody might have. And as we kind of wrap up here, if you have any specific concerns or challenges, we'll just stay online for a couple of minutes while that. We don't have too many people online, but see if anyone has a question or not. It's been a long haul, hasn't it, as we have been waiting anxiously for this opportunity to reconnect, and now that it's finally starting to happen, there's a little tentativeness on all of our parts to be cautious about what we do. Okay, I don't see any questions, so if you do have questions, you can email them to me at john@lakeviewumc.net, or you can send it to the church. You can go onto the website, all of those good things that we normally do. In fact, I'll put the website address up here for you. There we go. There's the website address in case you need that. The written copy of the letter with all this information will be posted on the website as well after it goes out through the electronic email. So we want to be upfront and let you know what to expect and what things might be happening over the next few weeks. So that about wraps it up. And until I have some more news information, I will talk to you very soon. Hope to see you on Sunday as we gather for worship. You can find us on Lakeview Alive, our YouTube channel. God bless. Have a great afternoon.